This is a companion video for SNAFU, a World War II company level war game. In this video, I'm just going to walk through a basic turn, and that way you can kind of get a feel for the rules in action, see it play out, and maybe this will serve to clarify anything that's unclear in the rules for you. Right off the bat, we're in the middle of a game that's already going on. The Americans have taken a few defensive positions while the Germans are beginning to fold under the attack here. Starting at this turn, each side has a certain number of initiative points. There's a lot of different ways you can track them. I find it fun to track them on cards, but you could use chits or whatever works for you. So in this scenario, the Americans have 1 platoon commander, 2 platoon commanders, 3, 4 platoon commanders, which equal 4 points. And they also have a company commander, which gives them 6. They are actually down 1 point because they lost a platoon commander already at this point in the battle. So right off the bat here, we're going to have the Americans do a group fire on these Germans. So they're rolling 2 dice. They get a +1 for the machine gun and a +1 for group fire. Their target squad is in heavy cover, so that's -2, meaning the roll is just a straight up roll looking for a 7 or better. And hey, they got a suppression, so we'll mark this squad as suppressed. We use up an action point. The Germans get to react, and right now they choose to not react. They're going to hold on to their points so that they can maybe fight off better later in the turn. But that means the Americans, they're going to go ahead and shoot at the other squad, and it's a poor shot. Now the Germans, they feel like, you know what, we're even on points. We've got some room to counteract, and they're going to spend 1 action point and move up this group of SMGs to this line, get ready for maybe a counterattack. The Americans, they're not done yet. They're going to keep shooting. Roll another 2 dice, and ooh, that's a 9. That's not a kill, but it is another suppression. So now the Germans, they're in a bit of a tight spot. They might just want to rally one of those squads. So this squad is regular. They've got a platoon commander right behind them, so that combines for a +2 on their roll. They're looking for a 5 or better, but they get a +2. So they really just don't want to roll a 1 or a 2, and they pass. So they've rallied. That uses up another point. And the Americans, they're just done. They're done with trying to suppress both squads. They're going to use another action and move into close combat against these Germans. They're going to leave the machine gun behind because the machine gun's not very good in close combat anyways. And the way this will work is that each unit gets to roll a die into the close combat. But first, the Germans will get a chance to suppress those squads that were charging across the field at them. So we'll roll first for this squad. They're going to do some reaction fire, which will cost another action point. And they got 1 suppression, so one of the squads isn't going to make it. They'll fire again. And a kill. Oh my goodness. And then they get to fire at the 3rd squad. Another suppression. So that's 2 suppressions in a row, which means the Americans, they're not going to even make it to the close combat. We're going to push this guy back here, him and the platoon commander. This squad also gets to react fire at all available targets, but they are firing at a -2 because they're suppressed. So, and they miss right off the bat. They don't get to do any more firing. But that was a very good reaction fire by the Germans. The Americans are in a bit of a pickle now. They're probably going to spend one of their actions to try to rally here. These are veterans with a platoon commander, so that's +3. They rally easily, but that uses up 1 more action. And that's it for this turn. We'll go ahead and finish off this turn outside of the camera and then shift to the other side of the battlefield. Now we move on to the next turn. The American players spend an action. They've decided to, that side of the table, things just didn't go so well. So they're going to spend an action and move a group move of their tanks. They're going to start rolling them across this field to try to get them to roll up on the flank. But the Germans in this scenario had hidden deployment. So it turns out there's actually a Panther sitting right here beside this church. And it's only revealing now because, you know what, the Germans see these targets rolling up the field towards them and they think, oh boy, this is a perfect time to open fire. So they're going to spend an initiative point to open fire on these Shermans. So the Panther has a penetration of 4. The Shermans have front armor of 3. So that difference equals a +1. So regular roll +1 of the result. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's a suppression. They're going to go ahead and fire at the next one that's also in their line of sight. And it's a 2. So that was still a good little suppression on that first tank. But now the Shermans know what's up. And one of them is going to open fire. The unsuppressed one's going to open fire back. He's got 3 pen. The Panther's got front armor of 4, so it's actually a -1 on this roll. But they roll an 8, modified down as a 7, so that's still pretty good for the Americans. They've got 1 suppression on the Panther. 2 suppressions equals a kill in this game. So we'll go ahead. The Germans, they want to take out this threat, so they're spending another initiative point. I'm going to roll another 2 dice. 6, 7, 8. +1 is a 9. That's a second suppression on this guy. That means he's flaming out. He's done. So now we get back to the Americans. They're going to use their still healthy tank right here to open back up fire. -1 on the roll. We'll call that a 4. 8 -1 is a 7. That's another suppression, but that's enough to take out our Panther. So I think the Americans would be pretty happy at a 1-for-1 trade. Shermans for Panthers. And they've still got the advantage of in initiative points for the remainder of the turn to start working on some of these other German positions.